Hello, farmers and aspiring farmers. Thank you for tuning into yet another informative edition of your program. This is Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030, where we take a look at different enterprises that Zimbabwean farmers can take advantage of to ensure that they are making a living off of their agricultural ventures. Now, if you look at it, Zimbabwe is a youthful country with well over 67.7% of the population being the youth, and the women constitute roughly to about 52% of the population, which means that our Zimbabwean economy can take advantage of the youth and the women in it, given that they constitute to a huge chunk of the entire population. This is the case today. We have traveled all the way here at Crow Hill, where we are going to be looking at greenhouse tomato farming as a means of empowering the Zimbabwean population through the youth and women. To discuss this and more, I've taken the liberty of inviting Ambassador Peveline Tendai Musaka, and she's going to be talking to us in terms of what is this design, what this enterprise means to the youthful population of our country and even the women in Zimbabwe. Ambassador, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yes. As we get into our discussion, Ambassador, I would like you to introduce yourself to our population, to those who might be watching from home, who might want to know you and how you ended up in agriculture, participating in greenhouse tomato farming.
Thank you very much. My name is Ambassador Peveline Tendai Musaka, and I'm former ambassador of the Republic of Zimbabwe to Ghana and a career diplomat. And during my course of work, when I was still in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and as Chief Director of Protocol, Conferencing and Services, I managed to visit our own president's farm in Kwekwe. Okay. You know, what inspired me when we toured that farm, the Prikabe farm, was that if the president, the leader of Zimbabwe, he himself believes in the soil, who am I to doubt it? So I said, when I retire, let me start the project. And it's advisable to start small. Mm-hmm. And I started small. First, we did it as open field. But when the rains came, we discovered that in no time the crop was gone. Mm-hmm. So I said, no, let me look at, they provided the solution. Okay. They're smart agriculture. And what this will do is that my crop, which is Candela tomatoes, will be able to survive through the winter, through the summer, and through the rain. So This is the solution. This is why I came to start this project.
Okay, now can you talk to us in terms of maybe a rough synopsis of your organization? What is it called? What are you into? What do you seek or intend to achieve in the agricultural fraternity using your organization as a means of empowering the youth and the women?
Yes, the African Diplomat Vocational College, we are actually registered by the Ministry of Higher Education and to train the youths in mainly, which was my first line, that was fashion designing. But I realized there is more in terms of profit that you get in the agricultural sector. This is why I decided now to diversify into agriculture. And as you can see, the crop here is really promising us. We're actually smiling. We've started harvesting. Yes, we started off with just one crate of tomatoes per week. And now we're anticipating, according to our agronomist, who is our great teacher on this project, we're expecting at least 10 to 12 crates per week. And this is really the harvest time, and we're smiling all the way.
I can tell your fruits are there, your plants are promising. It is a clean greenhouse, no trace of diseases or weeds, meaning that you are taking heed of the lessons that your agronomists are giving you. Now, moving right along, I want us to talk about the general activities, the management of your greenhouse. I understand that you are hands-on. You are in a work suit to show us that you are hands-on. Daily, you do interact with your tomato crop. Can you talk to us in terms of those activities daily? What are you into? Even the team that you work with, what do you assign them to do, given that it is a greenhouse setting?
Yes, as a manager, the management that I learned during my course of my work in diplomacy and civil service, you still have to apply it even in your agricultural field. You can delegate to your subordinates, but you at the end of the day are accountable for the end product. So you must make sure that regularly you inspect the crop and then just tell whoever is in charge of, like in our case, we have Taurai, our gardener, who's in charge of the day-to-day operations of the garden, but you must take charge. You can't over-delegate, because once you do that, that's disaster for you.
Now, Ambassador, I want us to look at the importance or pivotal role of diplomacy when it comes to interacting between the employee, between the owner, between the agronomists. We have various stakeholders in the agricultural industry. You are talking of working with women, you are working with youth. At the end of the day, you would find that there might be some misunderstanding which might end up eating into the profits that we are all eyeing. The eyes are on the ball. We are looking to make profits and to make sustainable ventures. Can you talk to us about that critical role? I did a bit of diplomacy and statecraft with a certain institution, a diploma rather, but I understand that diplomacy does play a pivotal role when it comes to human interaction. You are an expert in that field. Can you talk to us in terms of the pivotal role of diplomacy in our agricultural industry, where there are youth, there are women, there are men, there are stakeholders, there is the private sector, there is the government, the important role of diplomacy?
Yes, my experience in diplomacy helps a lot because I am able to drive the team as one team. I'm not in a position to separate it. So once you get the team on board with your idea, you are destined for success. But sometimes as a boss, you always want to overboss your subordinate. That doesn't work for you. In my case, I'll even ask sometimes my gardener, what do you think is the solution to this? Listen to that young boy, much as he is just an O-level guy, but he's got something that he will train you. Just like our agronomist, he comes with ideas. We listen to him. Because if you don't listen to him, you have no expertise of growing tomatoes.
Yeah.
Your tomatoes will not go anywhere. So listen to experts' advice.
Yes.
This is the secret.
Now, Ambassador, I would want you to give maybe your sentiments, your word of advice, and your perspective, given that you are participating in agriculture, but you do have colleagues who are in the civil service, who are working with the government. You also have diaspora and some who have left Zimbabwe who are looking to invest in agriculture, and the general population in terms of participating in the agricultural sector of our country. Your sentiments, your word of advice, your views as someone who is into agriculture on a daily basis.
Yes, there are so many opportunities in the agricultural sector, and most of us were brought up as farmers,
Yes.
especially in the rural areas or on a farm. So why not go back to that expertise, especially if you are retiring civil servant like myself. I retired in December 2023, and even those that are still working, you are always crying that there's not enough of your salary. Do this as a part-time job, and you'll be very comfortable, because it will be able to pay some of the bills that you are crying that you expect your employer to always supply. So my advice is, please go into agriculture. You will not go
It's
wrong
very
at all.
rewarding.
Very rewarding.
Finally, as we close this segment, Ambassador, opportunities of partnering, looking mainly at the economic muscle that most of our Zimbabwean farmers or those that want to participate, they might not have the economic muscle or the capital injections that are required or the financial resources. But then we have financiers, we have the financial institutions, the opportunities, or your word of advice to them in terms of coming on board and working with organizations, youthful organizations. We are talking of the youth participating in agriculture, those who created this greenhouse, they are youth. Talk to us in terms of how the financiers can come in.
Yes, the financiers can come in. From my own experience, ideally was on the side, so that these the youths, well, about 35 of them in the company, which they've just established as a group, can get the financial support, so that they don't need to worry about chasing money from the customers. They should just worry about production, because they're very good at it. That's what the expertise. And then let the banks do the support. Many other banks in Zimbabwe, they can come on board.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for taking your time and coming to talk to us in terms of those critical issues that are in our agriculture industry. We are looking at production and marketing of these fresh produce which you are producing here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness in support of Vision 2030. We are now here in the second segment of your program, where we are looking at ways of empowering the youth and women via tomato greenhouse production. Now, viewers, we encourage you to be a part of these conversations. Feel free to get in touch with the producer, Wazanai Manyore, so on 0772 807 506, Alternatively, you can like our Facebook page, Agribusiness with Wazanai. Make a follow up on this episode and more on our YouTube channel. Your comments and suggestions are most welcome to us. Our YouTube channel is Agribusiness with Wazanai. We're also now available on X, formerly known as Twitter. It's at Agribusiness 110. At this point in time, I've taken the liberty of inviting those who are responsible for constructing the greenhouses. And we're going to be looking at how they are making sure that the greenhouses they are constructing are durable, and at the end of the day, they are capable of making the farmer profitable, lucrative, and even sustainable in his agricultural ventures. I am joined by Chamuno Rwakapita, the manager at Agrirocket Engineering. Mr. Kapita, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yes, as we get into our discussion, people are interested. They want to know the proper standards, the characteristics of a proper greenhouse. There are a lot of people who are shortchanging people when it comes to construction of these structures. To know go gadzira ma greenhouse, but within a month or a year, chatotsemuka paane ma issues and vanhu vachabatiki. Can you talk to us in terms of the standards, the prerequisite that you would say kana munhu akauya neizvi, these are appropriate for greenhouse construction, and even the types of greenhouses that our Zimbabwean farmers can take advantage of if they are looking to invest in greenhouse production, be it backyard. In this instance, we are in Crow Hill, backyard farming, but there are also those who have large scale, those who have large amounts of land who want to also get greenhouses. Talk to us in terms of that.
Okay, so basically we have three types of greenhouses. We have a metal greenhouses. That one, it has a lifespan of plus 20 years. We have a hybrid greenhouse in the sense that we are combining steel and wood. That one, it has a lifespan of 15 years. Then we have also this type of greenhouse which we are in today. It's a wooden greenhouse with a lifespan of 10 years. So when we are investing in these greenhouses, or when farmers are investing in these greenhouses, we have to consider our budget, number one, also the lifespan of the project. So when someone is new, or if someone is for a long term, we consider that person must take a metal greenhouse because of the lifespan. If it's for a short term project, someone must take also a wooden greenhouse because it has a shorter lifespan. In terms of budget, someone with a low or a limited budget should also take a wooden greenhouse because it is cheaper when compared to a metal greenhouse. So those are the basic types of greenhouse that we have. But when it comes to a standard greenhouse, we have to know that we must have enough ventilation. We must also use proper greenhouse plastics that are meant for crops, so that we maximize on our quality and the quantity when we are harvesting. Then also our greenhouses, they must come with facilities of irrigation, fertigation, trellises. So with that, we can say we have a standard greenhouse.
Thank you so much, Chamunurwa, for that. This takes me to my next question. I understand that off camera we're talking of our greenhouse insurances, the insurances that come with looking at the durability of the greenhouse. Can you talk to us in terms of the insurance that might be there that support farmers who are into greenhouse production or those who are looking to get into greenhouses? Also look at maintenance. We have issues of maintenance. What would you want to say is the key points that comes when it comes to maintaining your greenhouse, and also looking at maybe general durability? Zvakamira sei pamunozoona kuti uyu munhu anenge akatsotswa greenhouse raakaisirwa? Can you talk to us in terms of that?
Okay, so basically a good greenhouse must be insurable, even bank insurable. So it means that a greenhouse that is standard or a greenhouse that is good, it must have qualities that a bank can certify and say we can insure this greenhouse. Then also when it comes to the issue of lifespan and the guarantee, we have to consider that a manufacturer's fault can be discovered within a year. So any greenhouse where you can find someone saying I will give you more than 1 year or 1 year guarantee, it means that greenhouse is strong enough and it is a standard greenhouse. So we have to also know that when we are talking of insurance, it's separate or it's different from guarantee. Guarantee, it covers only the manufacturer's fault. As we know in engineering, errors can happen. So we have to consider that manufacturer's fault, it's only for a 1 year. Then insurance comes in with other things that cannot be seen, like fire, theft, windstorm, such things like that. So that's the difference between an insurance and guarantee. So in terms of insurance, that's all I can say.
Okay, thank you so much for that. As we close this segment, Shamunorwa, I also want us to look at the opportunities of partnering with various stakeholders. We are in an industry where we have the public sector and the private sector. The private sector, we have farmers, we have financiers, we have non-government organizations, we have mere people somewhere in the diaspora who are looking to invest back in agriculture. Can you talk to us in terms of the opportunities that are there between those who construct greenhouses and those that are looking to invest? What could the opportunities be there, looking that each party is looking to gain something?
Mostly what I noticed is that people who are really in need of these greenhouses, they lack financial capacity. So we are saying there is an opportunity, and if we can have NGOs who can partner with farmers in rural areas, as you know that in rural areas, most people, or even something more than 90% of the people in the rural areas, they depend on agriculture. Yes. So we definitely understand that with this partnership, we can give them something they can harvest, we can give them something that they can earn a living out of. So we also try to consider other things, other partners like banks. Banks, if they finance this project, they are tried and tested when it comes to giving back, when it comes to the profit. Exactly, per dollar investment. Like in this greenhouse, a wooden greenhouse, it has a payback period of 1 season, which is 1 year. So it means within one period, within 1 season, you will be able to pay back the bank. So it's a good area where banks can look into so that they can get also profit.
Thank you so much, Shamunura, for taking your time and affording us an opportunity to have a conversation with you surrounding the construction of greenhouse, the insurances, and even the opportunities for partnering with constructors such as yourself. It was a pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you.
Pari zvino ndina mukoma Taurai vanoshanda vari pamwe chete naambassador Msaka pakuchengetwa kwemadomasi kurima kwavari kuita mumagreenhouses. Taurai, ndinokutenda nekuya pachirongwa.
Ndinokutendai madam, tiri muno mugreenhouse yedu.
Tichipinda panyaya dzekurimwa kwemadomasi mugreenhouse, Taurai, ndinoziva kuti unenge uchiwana maorders, mainstructions zvichida kubva kumadhumeni zvichibva kuna ambassador mune dzimwe nguva. Maduties ako akamira sei pataakupindira segment rino? Ndezvipi zvaunoita pazuva kuita kuti madomasi andiri kuona muna neutano akanaka, kureva kuti pari kushandwa? Mabasa aunoita mugreenhouse, kune vakatarira varikuda kuziva kuti munomboitwa imo mugreenhouse, zvakamira sei?
Tatenda madam, inini ndiri muno mugreenhouse ndinokwanisa kuita zvekudiridzira nemadrips nekuspraya kuitira kuti domasi rangu rione utano nekusakurira tumasora zvive zvinenge zvichionekera.
On that note, viewers, have come to the end of the second segment. We are looking at greenhouse tomato production here in Crow Hill, Harare. We're going to go on a short commercial break. We'll be right back with this and more in the third and final segment. Stay tuned. Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned to Agricultural New Directions, Agribusiness, in support of Vision 2030. We are here in the third and final segment of your program, where we are looking at greenhouse tomato production. You'd find that there are various crops that can be produced within a greenhouse setting. Now, in this segment, I've taken the liberty of inviting Naison Chisamba. He's an agronomist working with Agrirocket. They are responsible for erecting structures, greenhouses, and also giving agronomic advice to their clients and those that they work with. Naison, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Wadza.
As we get into our discussion, Naison, I want us to look at issues surrounding the size of this greenhouse. We are here in Crow Hill where they are doing backyard farming. So I want us to look at the size and the plants that can be accommodating within the size that you are going to be highlighting.
Okay, thank you, Wadza. From after the constructions of the greenhouses and this one is a 200 square meter greenhouse, and it accommodates 666 plants of tomatoes.
Okay. Now I want us to look at issues surrounding trellising. I understand that trellising and the longevity or durability of the tomato plant, they are correlated. When you trellis your plant, it means that you are giving it a longer lifespan with you making profit off of your plants. Can you talk to us in terms of investing in proper trellising equipment and the structures and the designs, and also the longevity of the tomatoes we are in here? As earlier on, the ambassador highlighted that their first harvest was on Friday. These are the tomatoes that we are holding. Can you talk to us in terms of the longevity of the plant, importance of trellising of tomatoes within a greenhouse setting?
Okay, thank you, Wadza. I would like to start with the trellising. Usually we use what we call twine bale. As we can see them, this is the twine bale. We use them to tie the tomatoes on it.
Okay, kuti panenge pakanyatsokakika.
Yes,
Okay.
pakanyatsokakika.
Okay.
And then also on the longevity of the tomatoes and it, usually we look at the number of clusters and it of the tomatoes. For example, we can count the distance on the tomatoes and it, and also the space between the clusters is around the 28 centimeters and it. So then, and then also number of fruits on the cluster and it.
Okay.
Usually they add up to about a kg and it. So if we calculate on these numbers, on these figures, for example, on the average of 15 kgs and it means the crop will be around 8.4 meters.
Okay.
And then also, if you go far to about 30 kgs per plant, maybe I think it will be about 16 meters.
Okay.
And also on the another fact on longevity, this plant may take about 12 months.
Munachingo harvest.
Yes, harvesting.
Okay. Now, nice on insect pest management within a greenhouse. I understand that there are situations whereby there might be infestation, or maybe some situations they kuona kuti munenge mane tunhu twakuruma mu greenhouse area yakavharwa iyi, meaning kuti mukanonokera munda wese unoparara because the area is enclosed. Can you talk to us in terms of how to manage, kana kuti how do you control or curb, or kutoti zvisaitike zvema insect pest ndezvipa? I understand pane ma issues ana biosecurity. Can you talk to us in terms of controlling insect pests, diseases that may be a menace in greenhouse tomato production?
Okay, thank you, Wadza. First thing I can say, murima achitanga kurima madomesi edu aya handiti tinomugadzira tinoti fertigation program, spring program handiti. Saka ndiye anozokwanisa kuzotevedzera kuti zvofamba sei handiti. Saka pa spring program yedu tinenge tichiprevent, tiri kuisa ma preventatives handiti, so that no diseases, no insect pest infestations and it. And also per door, tine yatinoti biosecurity, there is a footpath yatinokwanisa mishonga yedu like mana spoke and it, kuitira kuti tisazokanganiswa nema diseases and it. And then also we can put yatinoti ma tutor traps, because kune chigonja chatinoti tutor and it, that bowworm inopinda mukati medomasi, and then kana yapinda mukati medomasi yakushakadza domasi riyari harichaiti kuinda kumarket. So tinokurudzira varimi varamba vachiita zvekuspraya, whether uri kuona kana kuti hausi kuona, because hazvinatsokuoneka.
Okay.
And then also scouting.
Thank you so much for that. As we close this segment, nice one, I understand that there are some dangers, or there are some maybe conditions that you do not advise the Zimbabwean farmer to participate in that will eventually result in damaging the greenhouse. In terms of maintaining your greenhouse so that it lasts longer, semuri muchiramba uchiharvesta uchiramba uri in business, ndezvipi zvaungataura the key fundamentals that a Zimbabwean farmer has to take cognizance of to make sure that his greenhouse lasts longer, ari kurichengetedza unoti kungotemba insurance? Okay,
thank you, Wadza. Chekutanga ndinogona kuti murimi ngaasavesera moto padhuze nechi on the greenhouse anditi. Uyezve I advise varimi vaisa vatinoti fire guard. Maybe it's about 5 meters away. Anokwanisa kupasakura pochena pekuti moto haukwanisa kusvika ukoko. And then also on the structure, kana achikwanisa kuzoisa yatinoti clear set anditi. Pane pamwe paanogona kuona kuti inenge yapera ita fade out, anokwanisa kuapply kuitira kuti rambe
really strong, really fit.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nyson, for taking your time and coming onto our platform and educating our Zimbabwean farmers in terms of greenhouse construction and the advantages that come with investing in a greenhouse. It was a pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you, Wadza.
From me, your host was Anai Manyora. I'm also on Instagram. It's at Wadzi110, and the crew behind the scenes. Have yourselves a fabulous evening. Thank you for watching.